Hello there. Before we commence with the video, I want to have a short talk because I feel like I need to explain something to my regular viewers. A lot of you are members of this channel. You have subscribed to this channel, rather, because of wet shaving and straight razor honing. I've got a lot, I think, that have subscribed because of the knife sharpening. But I haven't been doing a lot of straight razor honing, and I haven't been doing any wet shaving. And there's a reason for that, and I want to kind of clue you in because I've hid it for quite a while because I wanted to believe that it would pass. But last 3 or 4 years, maybe more than that, I've had like tremors in my hands. And they were really micro at first. And I mean, I've sort of got a little bit of trembling, a little bit of like vibration or whatever. My hands feel like they're trying to do this all the time. I'm pretty sure it's nerve damage from diabetes. But it was only small stuff at first, and so I didn't think anything of it, but it continued to get worse. And it happens when I try to do fine motor skills like shaving my face with a straight razor. And I started cutting myself. And you can see some of that in the video, although I didn't mention why, that kind of deal. But it got to the point where every time I shaved myself, I was cutting myself. And so I had to stop with the straight razors. And when I did that, that kind of sort of set me into a funk when you talk about honing straight razors and wet shaving. Because it was like losing a piece of me. I don't know if you can understand that, but shaving with a straight razor is the most fabulous type of shave that there is, and it spoiled me on everything else. So right now I'm shaving with a DE, whatever DE in my collection I happen to want to. I don't have any plans to restart straight razor shaving or wet shaving in general. I think I pretty much have taught everything that I know how to teach in that. And I don't know of a way to go forward. But I am going to start back razor honing because I love razor honing. I will also still be sharpening knives and tools and whatever else I want to here on this channel. And they will sort of I will sort of post them as I go, whatever it is that I feel like posting. So I just wanted to mention that. I also want to give a shout out to a friend named Rick Whitson. And because he kind of sort of stayed on my videos. Even like my woodworking channel, you see him there. And he always was like, I love the way you hone. I love to watch you hone. And I really appreciate him for that because I went back and looked at his back catalog and started watching his stuff, and it kind of sort of inspired me to get back into honing. So you're going to see regular straight razor honing videos from me from now on. So bless you. Enjoy this video. This is a fucking novelty cutlery company. I think that's a 6/8 square point straight. We're gonna hone this razor. This is a vintage Coticule. I don't know the vein. It's a very fine stone. I'm going to use this to raise a slurry on it. This is a Coticule I got years ago. It was the first Coti that I owned. It's not as fine as this, and it takes a lot more work on this, but I can get a really nice shaving edge off of this, but this is much easier and it's a much finer stone, and so generally I just use this kind of like a rubbing stone where I sharpen knives on this. And this is basically my straight razor Coticule, although you might see me time to time use this just to use another Coticule. So we're gonna raise a slurry. I'm going to raise a pretty thick slurry because we're going to use the Dilucot method. That's lovely right there. I think that one is fine. So what's going on? Anything good? Always something good to think about. Life can be challenging sometimes, but if you stop and think about all the good things that you have. I know sometimes when you're having problems, you can't really see the good stuff that well, but there's good all around us if we look for it. Now you notice that slurry's already changing its color. Why? This is an incredibly fine stone, but it's also an incredibly fast cutting stone. I also think these manganese deposits in it might have something to do with it as well. But just, I love this stone. What I'm doing when I'm honing this razor, whether I'm doing straight ahead strokes or circles like I am now, I'm using a slight bit of torque on the edge, not enough to raise the spine off the stone, mind you, but a little bit of torque toward the edge, and I am graduating the pressure across the entire edge of the blade so that because if you look at this blade, it's not straight across, it has a slight smile. Okay, so I want to catch the whole, exaggerated, I'm going, okay, because I'm starting here at the heel, and I'm graduating pressure like that along the stone so that I'm hitting every point on that edge. And no matter whether I'm doing that or this right here, it's the same thing. Because I want to hit every point along the edge of this razor. You'd think as humid as it is around here, this slurry wouldn't dry that fast, but it does. Alright, I was using a heavy pressure. Now I'm going to slack off pressure. I was trying to set the bevel really well with that heavy pressure. So now I'm going to back off and hone with basically just a tiny little bit more than the weight of the blade. I'm gonna dilute that a bit. And lighten off the pressure just a little bit. With the Coticule, particularly, it's a natural stone just like other natural stones, and they all have little idiosyncrasies that are unique to them, and them belong to that particular stone. Okay, but a Coticule is a stone that you can get wonderful razor sharp, and I mean shave ready edges off of a razor grade Coticule. But every one of them has sort of a combination that you have to figure out. My approach usually to them is to vary slurry and pressure, and use like different types of strokes. There's a lot of Coticules that benefit from circles, so a lot of them that benefit from half strokes, and believe it or not, there are some that are so delicate in the way that they hone that you really need, or they're so not delicate, particular in the way that you hone on them, that you really need a straight ahead approach to get the best out of them. But what I tend to do, you see how dark that slurry is now? What I tend to do is start with a heavier pressure and a heavier slurry if I'm doing what I am now, which is kind of recutting an edge. Wasn't completely dull, but was not really shave ready. If that's the case, then I'll start with a heavy slurry and a heavy hand, and I might use half strokes, or I might use circles, but something fairly aggressive with a fairly aggressive pressure. And then as I begin to thin the slurry out, what I will do is I'll maintain some pressure on the blade, but I'll slowly begin to lessen that pressure as I hone and thin the slurry. As the slurry gets thinner, as the razor approaches closer to a shaving edge, or as I'm trying to push it and bring it closer to a shaving edge, I'm going to vary my pressure and lighten it continually in a progressive way, so that I can try to squeeze every inch of utility out of the stone. And we're just, actually I want to dilute that even more. We're just diluting this slurry slowly and carefully until we reach almost a water state. Some of them you can take all the way to clear water. This one you can. I don't often do it because I don't really need it. It will give me the edge I'm looking for with just a really thin slurry at the end. This one, you have to sort of do several different dilutions and several different slurries, actually raising, honing until the slurry gets dirty and then cleaning it off and raising another one and on until you reach a point where the edge is refined enough that you can continue on with a straight Dilucot, a straight dilution. And that's going to come with feel and time and knowing the particular stone that you're using. But yeah, that's Coticles are like that. It's why a lot of times people get really frustrated with them. They buy a Coticle thinking that they can just jump on it and hone a razor. No natural stone probably can do that right off. You need to kind of learn that stone, but a Coticle is a whole other world when it comes to that, and you have to find out exactly how that stone wants to be honed, how it likes to work that steel and what it does, what it will do and what it won't do. And some of them are not going to hone a razor to a shave ready edge. They're just not going to do it. Sorry, that hand doesn't like. Ever since I broke this hand, that's been about 2 years ago, it's not ever been the same. Sometimes it doesn't work like I want it to. Alright, less pressure. And that slurry is not diluted enough for me, so let's go. There, that's better. Alright, final slurry, or final dilution. I'm going to go nice and carefully and light with my pressure. And I'm feeling and paying really careful attention to not only the way the blade feels, the edge feels, but if you look, I have a fairly strong overhead light, and I'm watching the way the light is reflecting off of that bevel. That's a really beautiful polish right there. Gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, this is plain water. I'm going to keep this slurry, but I'm going to add a little bit of soapy water to gain just a tiny little bit of slickness. You can use oil as well. The Coticule will not absorb the oil. You can wash it off and use wire on the Coty, and it won't cause any issues whatsoever. That's lovely. Very, very light. Pressure just enough to keep the edge from skipping on the stone. That's all I need right now. And I am going to call that good. Thanks for watching.